glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Prabhu, all the way from India, joining and giving your very wonderful association, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Danvat Pranam. So glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj and all the assembled Vaishnavas. This is Kirti Dasya.
Hare Krishna, Kitida Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the session and giving your very valuable association this morning, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mata. Hare Krishna, Neha Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the session and giving your very sweet association this morning. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, are there any devotees who want to introduce themselves? Okay.
Hare Krishna, Shama Supriya Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. This is Indu from Lincoln.
Hare Krishna, Indu Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the session and giving your very sweet association this morning, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Okay. Hare Krishna. I welcome all the devotees to our Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call of our Caitanya Charitamrita classes. And today we are very fortunate to have with us Her Grace Preethi Vilasini Mataji to enlighten on the topic of Antya Lila from 16.1 onwards. Hare Krishna, Preethi Vilasini Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for giving your very precious association and enlightening on the topic of Antya Lila, Mataji. I now hand over the call to you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, am I audible?
Yeah, now you are audible, Mataji.
Okay, thank you. So we're reading from Sri Caitanya Charitamrita Antya Lila, and this is chapter 16. And chapter 16 is titled Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Radhanath Swami Niti Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesh Shunyavadi Paschayati Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. My humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas on the call. Please bless me so that I can speak a few words from this very beautiful section of Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, chapter 16. So I will screen share. There will be a lot of verses today. We'll be reading a lot of verses, and especially we'll be reading a lot of purports of Srila Prabhupada today. So along with the storyline, we'll also try to analyze what Srila Prabhupada has spoken in some of these purports, because not all the verses have purports, but about 3 to 4 verses have very interesting purports, and we will read them. So the chapter is Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tastes nectar from the lips of Lord Sri Krishna. It's a very beautiful chapter, and the first part of this chapter is about the story of a great Mahabhagavat by the name Kalidas. So today and tomorrow we will be seeing the story of Kalidas and what are the different activities that Kalidas performed. So let's read from verse number 1. वन्दे श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यं कृष्णभावामृतं हि यः स्वादयान् भक्तान् प्रेमदीक्षम् अशिक्षयत्. Translation: Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who personally tasted the nectar of ecstatic love for Krishna and then instructed his devotees how to taste it. Thus, he enlightened them about ecstatic love of Krishna to initiate them into transcendental knowledge. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Translation: All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of the Lord. ए मत महाप्रभु रहेण नीलाचले भक्तगण संगे सदा प्रेमा विह्वले. Translation: Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus stayed at Jagannath Puri in the association of his devotees, always merged in ecstatic love. Text 4. Varsantare Aila Sabha Gaudera Bhakta Ghana Purvava Tasi Kaila Prabhura Milana. The next year, as usual, all the devotees from Bengal went to Jagannath Puri, and as in previous years, there was a meeting between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all his devotees. Tan sabak sange aila Kalidasa nama Krishna nama vina teno nahi kaheyana. Along with the devotees from Bengal came a gentleman named Kalidas. He never uttered anything but the holy name of Krishna. Mahabhagavata teno sarala udhara Krishna nama sanketa chalaya vyavahara. Kalidas was a very advanced devotee, yet he was simple and liberal. He would chant the holy name of Krishna while performing all his ordinary dealings. Kautukete teno yadi pashaka kelaya Hare Krishna Krishna Kari pashaka chalaya. While he used to throw dice in jest, he would chant Hare Krishna while throwing the dice. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In this connection, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur warns the men of this age not to imitate the jesting of a Mahabhagavat like Kalidas. If someone imitates him by playing with dice or gambling while chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he will certainly become a victim of offenses unto the holy name. As it is said, Harinama Bale Pape Pravritti, one must not commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Playing with dice is certainly gambling, but it is clearly said here that Kalidas did this only in jest. A Mahabhagavata can do anything, but he never forgets the basic principles that activities are not imitated Kalidas. So it's a beautiful section. And of course, we will be continuing from there too. We'll cover a chunk of verses. Generally, Chaitanya Charitamrita flows through with beautiful stories. So we will cover a complete section But first, let's look at these initial verses. There is a verse from Gaur Ganodesh Deepika, and it says, Pulinda Tanaya Malli Kalidaso Adhuna Bhavat. Kalidas was previously a tribal girl by the name Malli in Vraja. So in Vrindavan, when Krishna was performing his pastimes, when Krishna Lila was happening, he would often go to the forests of Vrindavan to perform pastimes for the gopis and the other associates. There were also Pulinda women meaning tribal women, who would reside in these forests, and they would come from time to time to pick up firewood from these forests. And when they would come to pick up firewood, when the gopis and Krishna had finished performing their pastimes, these Pulinda women, they would accept the different remnants left by the gopis. So the flower garlands, the flowers that have fallen off from the gopis' garlands or from Krishna's garlands, the forest minerals that were left by Krishna and the gopis. So all these remnants were accepted by these Pulinda women. They would embrace it with a lot of love and devotion. And eventually they perfected their lives. They developed love of God just by accepting the remnants that the gopis and Krishna had left. So regularly they would come to these forests in the name of picking up some firewood. They would also pick up these different remnants. One such Aborigine woman who was there at the time of Krishna was named Malli. She was one of the Aborigine women in the Pulinda caste who would come there. And she was very, very fond of accepting remnants of Sri Krishna and the gopis. And eventually she came to participate in the pastimes of Lord Sri Caitanya, and she was known, when she came in Caitanya Lila, her name eventually became Krishnadas. So she incarnated as Krishnadas to actually participate in the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu's dear devotee was Kalidas, and Kalidas belonged to the Kayastha family. So there are a lot of devotees, a lot of associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who belonged to the Kayastha family. The Kayasthas are known to perform clerical jobs. They're considered very intelligent, very, very intelligent, especially the Bengali Kayasthas. They could understand the intricacies of management, business, and they had very fine intelligence. And there is some distinction made between the Kayasthas of the northern community from India and the Kayasthas of Bengal. Especially the Kayasthas of Bengal were considered somewhat Brahminical. So this Kalidas was born in a Kayastha family, and his home was in a village by the name Beda or Baduwa in the Hooghly district in Bengal. And this village is about 3 miles south to Raghunath Das Goswami's birthplace in Saptagram. So Raghunath Das Goswami and Kalidas were somewhat related. Kalidas was a distant uncle of Raghunath Das Goswami. And there is another character we'll be learning about in these few verses, and his name is Jaru Thakur or Jadu Thakur. And Jadu, as we know, he was born in a Bhuni Mali caste. What is a Bhuni Mali caste? Bhuni Mali caste belongs to a caste of sweepers. So Jadu Thakur, he was actually a sweeper, and he was born in this caste called as Bhuni Mali. And Prabhupada, in one of his lectures, he mentions about these people. He mentions about the caste called Bhuni Mali and how they belong to a sweeper community. And still Jadu Thakur was extremely exalted, very, very exalted personality. So we'll be understanding about both these personalities, both about Kalidas as well as Jadu Thakur. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have been seeing in the previous few chapters about his transcendental madness, how he was staying in Jagannath Puri and performing his final pastimes, and he was completely immersed in thoughts of Krishna. And devotees from different places would come and visit him from time to time when he was in Jagannath Puri. Especially the devotees from Bengal, they would make sure that they came every year to visit Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So one year, along with all the devotees from Bengal, there was a gentleman by the name Kalidas who accompanied the Bengali devotees to come and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, this Kalidas was described to be always chanting the holy names of Krishna. It is said that he uttered nothing but the holy names of Krishna all the time. In all the activities that he performed, he would always chant the name of Krishna. So he didn't distinguish in any activity he performed. He took the principle that one must chant the holy names of Krishna constantly. And therefore, in every activity he performed, he would continuously chant the names of Krishna. So he was very advanced. At the same time, he was very simple hearted and he was very liberal in whatever he did. So he would chant the holy names of Krishna in simple dealings and ordinary dealings, and even when he was playing dice. So when he would throw dice in jest, he would chant the holy names of Krishna. Now, actually, gambling is considered to be a sinful activity. It is one of the four regulative principles not to do gambling, right? So we know the four regulative principles, and we all take vows that we do not engage in gambling. And especially while gambling, if one should not chant the holy names, because it is like you are chanting the holy names, while gambling means you're committing sinful activities in the strength of chanting the holy name. That is one of the offenses to the holy names. So you all know the 10 offenses to the holy names, of which one of the offense is to commit sinful activity on the strength of chanting the holy name. Now we see here Jadu Thakur, what was he doing? He was playing dice and he was chanting the holy name. So it appears to be an offense to the holy name. But however, he was a Mahabhagavat. He was very simple hearted and he did certain things which is beyond our understanding, or beyond our judgment. So, as practicing devotees, we do not imitate Mahabhagavats. So we do not think that we can chant and do some sinful activity and our sins will be absolved because we are chanting the holy names. Okay, this is not something for us to imitate. But he was on such a transcendental platform, which was very hard to understand, and he was extremely simple hearted. He had never such ideas that he wanted to do, absolve his sins in the strength of chanting the holy names. Whatever he did, he kept chanting the holy names. So therefore, it is very difficult to understand the heart of a pure devotee. Prabhupada writes in the purport. He says, don't take it, very lightly. It's very difficult to understand the heart of a devotee. We cannot judge them, nor can we imitate great personalities like Kalidas. And this Kalidas, not only was he chanting the holy names constantly, he had made another vow. And that is where we see the exalted personality of Kalidas. What was the other vow that Kalidas made? He would just eat the remnants of Vaishnavas throughout his life. He had taken a vow that he would strictly maintain this vow and he would only eat remnants left by the Vaishnavas. And he would do anything to obtain those wonderful remnants of Vaishnavas. So when he was residing in Bengal, before he came to Jagannath Puri this particular year, there was an incident that happened with this Kalidas. So this Kalidas, by nature, two things we understood. One is he would chant the holy names all the time and he would accept only remnants from Vaishnavas. So when he was residing in Bengal, which was his birthplace, he would go to the home of all the Vaishnavas that were born in different Brahmana families, be it whether they were advanced devotees or they were neophyte devotees, and he would offer them gifts of first class eatables. So he would go to the market, he would purchase nice fruits and vegetables and all sorts of wonderful eatables, and he would go and present it as a gift to different Vaishnavas. And then, after the Vaishnavas finished eating it, he would accept their remnants. And if at all he did not accept remnants, if at all he did not get the remnants of Vaishnavas, he would just go and hide in some place and he would come out of his hiding once these Vaishnavas finished eating, and he would go and pick up the remnants that they left in the trashes and he would start licking up these remnants. So not only did he go to different Vaishnava families in Bengal, but he would also go to different Shudra families who were great Vaishnavas. Okay, so he did not make distinctions in caste. So in India, we all know that there are 4 different castes. You have the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and the Shudras. But anybody can be a Vaishnava, right? So Jadu Thakur, he did not make distinctions between whether this is a Brahmana Vaishnava or this is a Shudra Vaishnava. So he never made such distinctions. Actually, Vaishnava means no jati. We don't see jati in Vaishnava. All our great acharyas from different generations, you can see that many of them were Brahmanas, but at the same time, there were many who belonged to the Shudra caste or the Vaishya caste or any other caste, and even they belonged to no caste, outcast. Like we have the story of the great Haridas Thakur. So, like that, there are many, many Vaishnavas. This Jadu Thakur, Kalidas, not only did he accept remnants from different Brahmana Vaishnavas, he also accepted remnants from people of any caste who were great Vaishnavas. And one such Vaishnava who belonged to the Shudra community or to the worker class community was Jadu Thakur. And Jadu Thakur, we saw he was born in a sweeper community. So his job was to actually sweep the roads. That was his job. So what did he do to this person, to Jadu Thakur, who was born in a Bhuni Mali caste or a sweeper class? Kalidas, once he went to Jadu Thakur's home taking mangoes in his hand. Okay. So that's a beautiful verse. It is verse number 14 in this chapter of Sri Caitanya Charitamrita. And let's look at what Prabhupada has to say about verse 14. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila 16.14. Bhuni Mali Jati Vaishnav Jadu Tanra Nama Amar Phala Lena Teno Gila Yanrasthana. There was a great Vaishnav named Jadu Thakur who belonged to the Bhuni Mali caste. Kalidas went to his home taking mangoes with him. Purport. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur remarks, both Kalidas and Jadu Thakur are worshipped at a place called Sri Pat Bhati in a village known as Bedo or Bhaduya. And that is the picture that you see in the poster, the deities in that place. This village is situated about 3 miles south of the village of Krishnapur, the birth of Raghunath Das Goswami, which is 1 mile west of the Bandel junction of the Birdwan Lane. A post office there is named Devanandapura. Jadu Thakur used to worship the deity of Sri Madan Gopal. The deity is still worshipped by one Ramaprasad Das who belongs to the Ramayat community. It is said that the deity worshipped by Kalidas had been worshipped until recently in the village of Shanka on the bank of the Saraswati River, but the deity was taken away by a gentleman named Matilata Chattopadhyay from the village of Triveni. The deity is now worshipped at this place. So this is a short introduction about this place and about the residence of Jadu Thakur as well as this Kalidas who actually went to Jadu Thakur's house. So what did Kalidas do? Kalidas, he took these mangoes and he went and he presented these mangoes to Jadu Thakur and he offered Jadu Thakur respectful obeisances. And he also saw Jadu Thakur's wife next to him. So he offered respectful obeisances to Jadu Thakur's wife. And then when Kalidas went to Jadu Thakur, he saw both of them, both Jadu Thakur as well as his saintly wife together, and he gave these mangoes. So when Jadu Thakur received these mangoes, he first paid obeisances to Kalidas, and both Kalidas and Jadu Thakur sat down and spoke some nice Harikatha. They had some sweet words of discussion. So they were discussing together. And then Jadu Thakur, he told Kalidas, thank you for coming here. You're a very respectable guest. So how shall I serve you? I belong to a low caste. I don't know how I can serve you. You belong to a higher caste. You're from the Kayastha family. But I am only from the Bhuni Mali family. So if you permit me, I will send some food to a Brahmana's house so that there you can go and take prasadam. You can take prasadam that is being cooked by a Brahmana, but I will send the raw materials to that place so that I can be of some menial service towards you. So then when Kalidas was told this, Kalidas, he said, my dear sir, you please bestow your mercy upon me. I came only to see you, and I am very fallen and I am very sinful. But by seeing a great Bhagavat like you, I've become purified today. And I'm very obligated to you, and my life has become successful just by seeing you. So he tells Jadu Thakur, I have one desire, Kalidas says. I just have one desire. Please be merciful to me and place the dust from your lotus feet on my head. I just want to touch the dust from your lotus feet. And Jadu Thakur was shocked. He said, it is not all right, for you to ask me this. I belong to a very low caste family. You're such a respectable gentleman. And how can you take the dust from from my feet? It is not at all befitting you. So at that time, Kalidas, he began to recite some beautiful verses. And these verses are some of the key verses in this entire chapter. And they are from verse 25 through 29. So let's see these verses. न मे भक्तश्चतुर्वेदी मद्भक्तश्वपच प्रिय तस्मै देयं ततो ग्राह्यं स च पूज्यो यथा हि अहम्. Translation. Even though one is a very learned scholar in Sanskrit literature, if he is not engaged in pure devotional service, he is not accepted as my devotee. But if someone born in a family of dog eaters is a pure devotee with no motives for enjoyment through fruitive activity or mental speculation, he is very dear to me. All respect should be given to him, and whatever he offers should be accepted. For such devotees are indeed as worshipable as I am. This is Krishna speaking. This is a verse spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is found in the Hari Bhakti Vilas of Sanatana Goswami. 1626. Viparad Dvishadgunayutadaravindanabha Padaravinda Vimukhat Shwapacham Varishtam Manye Tadarpita Manovachane Hitartha Pranam Punati Sakulam Natu Bhurimana. Translation. A person may be born in a Brahmana family and have all 12 Brahmanical qualities, but if in spite of being qualified, he is not devoted to the lotus feet of Krishna, who has a navel shaped like a lotus. He is not as good as a Chandala who has dedicated his mind, words, activities, wealth, and life to the service of the Lord. Simply to take birth in a Brahmana family or to have Brahmanical qualities is not sufficient. One must become a pure devotee of the Lord. If a Shwapacha or a Chandala is a devotee, he delivers not only himself but his whole family. Whereas a Brahmana who is not a devotee but simply has Brahmanical qualifications cannot even purify himself, what to speak of his family. So this is a direct quote from the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 7th canto, Prahlad Maharaj's story. You find this very famous verse. It's often quoted, especially about the question of taking birth in a Brahmana family. So even if one is born in a family of dog eaters means Shwapacha. Shwa is dog, Pacha means to eat. So therefore you see the word Shwapacha here. Even if he's a dog eater and if he's a sincere devotee, he's definitely much better than a person who's taken birth in a Brahmanical family and whose mind is just stuck to fruitive activities. So a Vaishnava, it doesn't matter what jati he's born in. And this was also declared in the Srimad Bhagavatam by Prahlad Maharaj. The next verse, 1627. Ahobata Shwapachoto Gariyan Yachikvagre Vartate Namatupyam Te Pustapaste Juhvuhu Sasanurarya Brahmana Uchur Nama Grananti Ete. My dear Lord, anyone who always keeps your holy name on his tongue is greater than any initiated Brahmana. Although he may be born in a family of dog eaters and therefore by material calculations, he is the lowest of men, he is glorious nevertheless. That is the wonderful power of chanting the holy name of the Lord. One who chants the holy name is understood to have performed all kinds of austerities, He has studied all the Vedas and has performed all great sacrifices that is mentioned in all the Vedas. And he has already taken his bath in all the holy places of pilgrimage. It is he who is factually an Aryan. Such a beautiful verse. If a person has taken to chanting the holy names, then he has performed everything. He has read all the Vedas, he's performed all the austerities, he has taken bath in all the holy rivers. So the purification automatically comes if one is chanting the holy names of the Lord. The holy names are so powerful that by just chanting sincerely the holy name even once, one can get rid of all the sinful reactions birth after birth. So that is the power of the holy names. 1628. Shunita Kurka he Shastra se e Satya Kaya se Shreshta Aiche Yante Krishna Bhakti Haya. Hearing these quotations from the revealed scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam, Jadu Thakur replied, yes, this is true, for it is the version of Shastra. It is true, however, for one who is genuinely advanced in devotion of Krishna. So Jadu Thakur's consciousness is revealed in this verse. He's saying, yes, verses from the Shastra is 100% true. One cannot argue saying, oh, this is not true, because it is the verdict of Shastra. Anything that is said in Shastra must be taken as it is. It is true. It is, Satya Praman. It is to be taken with complete authority. Anything that Shastra says is correct. So Jadu Thakur had complete faith. He said, yes, you're correct. Whatever you said is correct. Even if a person is born in a Shudra family, if he's chanting the holy names, he's considered worshipable. Situated in devotion to Krishna, but I am not. So this is the humility that a Vaishnava shows. The more humble a Vaishnava is, actually, the more advanced this Vaishnava is. The more humility a person shows, the more advanced he actually is. A Vaishnava will never go and say, I am an advanced Vaishnava. He'll never say, I accept that I am advanced, or I am great, I am doing this, I am doing that, I have progressed so much. So if he's continuously stating his progress, then he has made no progress at all. So here we have Jadu Thakur who says, Shastra Vakya cannot go wrong, but I am not advanced. So this is actually the beauty of a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava, the beautification of a Vaishnava is in the humility that he displays. So Jadu Thakur, he says, this is only for genuinely advanced Vaishnavas, but I am not. Amini cha jati amar nahi Krishna bhakti, anya aiche haya amai nahi aiche shakti. Translation, Jadu Thakur says, such a position may befit others, but I do not possess such spiritual power. I belong to a lower class and I have not even a pinch of devotion to Krishna. See, this is his conscience.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. I think so. There's some internet issue.
Yes, Mataji. Please go on, Mataji.
Indu Mataji, can you personally text her?
Yes, Mataji, I can do it.
Okay, she's here, I think so.
Okay, let me share screen. I'll do this verse again. So I think I got cut off when I was reading the purport, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. Let's do it again. In the statement, Jadu Thakur presents himself as being born in a low caste family and not having the qualifications of a bona fide devotee of Lord Krishna. He accepts the statements declaring a low-born person is highly exalted if he is a Vaishnava. However, he feels that these descriptions from Srimad Bhagavatam appropriately describes others but not himself. Jadu Thakur's attitude is quite befitting a real Vaishnava. For a Vaishnava never considers himself exalted, even if he is factually exalted. A Vaishnava may be factually exalted, but if he starts thinking, I'm very advanced, I'm such a great Vaishnava, I have so many followers, so many people are following me, then he's absolutely not advanced at all. A Vaishnava in real nature is always meek and humble, and he never thinks himself as an advanced devotee. He assigns himself to a lower position, but that does not mean that he is indeed low. If a Vaishnava is saying, I'm very low, I'm not advanced, it doesn't mean for us to really accept that that Vaishnava is very low. It doesn't mean that he is indeed low. Sanatan Goswami once said that he belonged to a low caste family. For although he was born in a Brahmana family, he had associated with Mlechas and Yavanas in his service as a government minister. Similarly, Jadu Thakur presented himself as someone who belonged to a low caste, but he was actually elevated above many persons born in Brahmana families. Not only is there evidence for this in Srimad Bhagavatam as quoted by Kalidas in verses 26 and 27, but also there is considerable evidence for this conclusion in other Shastras. For example, Mahabharata Vanaparva, chapter 177, verse 20, it is stated, Shudre tu yad bhavel lakshma dvije taccha na vidyate na vai shudro bhavet shudro brahmano na cha brahmana. If one is born a shudra and he possesses the characteristics of a brahmana, and someone is born a brahmana does not, that shudra should be known as a shudra and that brahmana should be known as a brahmana. If someone born a Shudra possesses the characteristics of a Brahmana and someone born a Brahmana does not, that Shudra should not be known as a Shudra and the Brahmana should not be known as a Brahmana. So if one is born in a Shudra family and possesses the Brahmanical qualities, he's considered a Brahmana. But however, if one is born in a Brahmana family and doesn't possess any Brahmanical qualities, then he's only a Shudra. So not only is Srimad Bhagavatam talking about all this, because oftentimes we directly just quote from Srimad Bhagavatam. Do other scriptures also have a similar stand? Yes. So that's where Prabhupada comes in and he tells, not only is it quoted in the Bhagavatam, it is there in the Mahabharata also. It is there in so many other places. So he quotes another verse from again the Vanaparva, chapter 203, verses 11 and 12. It is said, Shudrayonau hi jatasya shadgunanu patishtitaha arjave vartamanasya brahmanyam abhijayate. If a person born in a Shudra family has developed the qualities of a Brahmana, such as Satya, truthfulness, Sama, peacefulness, Dhamma, self-control, and Arjava, simplicity, he attains the exalted position of a Brahmana. And in the Anusashana Parva, chapter 163, it is said, Stito Brahmana Dharmena Brahmanyam Upajivati Kshatriyo Vata Vaishyo Va Brahma Bhuya Sagachati Ebistu Karma Bhir Devi Shubhair Achitaistata Shudro Brahmanatam Yati Vaishya Kshatriyatam Rajet Nayonirnapi Samskaro Na Shrutam Na Cha Santigai Karanani Dvijatvasya Vartam Eva Na Karanam. If one is factually situated on the occupation of a Brahmana, he must be considered a Brahmana, even if born in a Kshatriya or Vaishya family. O Devi, if one is born a Shudra, if he is actually engaged in the occupation of a pure behavior of a Brahmana, he becomes a Brahmana. Moreover, a Vaishya can become a Kshatriya. Therefore, neither the Vritta or Kishan is the real standard by which one is known as a Brahmana. So we again know that Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he also talks duties and the occupation. Similar verdict, and also in the Mahabharata we have the similar verdict. The Srimad Bhagavatam again and again talks of the same thing. So continuing Srila Prabhupada's purport, we have seen that a person who is not the son of a doctor and has not attended a medical college is sometimes able to practice medicine. By practical knowledge of how to perform a surgical operation, how to mix medicine, and how to give certain medicines for certain diseases, a person can receive a certificate and be registered as a medical practitioner in the practical field. He can do a medical man's work and can be known as a doctor. Although qualified medical men may consider him to be a quack, the government will recognize his work. Especially in India, there are many such doctors who perform their medical services perfectly. They are accepted even by government. Similarly, if one is engaged in Brahminical service or occupational duties, he must be considered a Brahmana despite the family in which he is born. This is the verdict of the Srimad Bhagavatam. In 1135 it is said, Yasya yalakshanam proktam pumso varnabhivyanjakam yat anyatrapi darsheta tattaneva vinirdashet. In the statement by Narada Muni to Maharaj Yudhishthir, wherein Narada says that the symptoms of a Brahmana, Kshatriya and Vaishya are all described in Shastra. Therefore, if one is found exhibiting the symptoms and qualities of a Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya and serving in a Brahmanical, Kshatriya or Vaishya occupation, even if he is not born in a Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya, he should be considered as such according to his qualifications and occupation. Again, it is being stressed, guna and karma. This is what qualifies a person. Similarly, in the Padma Purana, he goes to another Purana, he says, Padma Purana, it is said, Na Shudra Bhagavat Bhaktas Te tu Bhagavata Mataha Sarva Varneshu Te Shudra Yena Bhakta Janardane. A devotee should never be considered a Shudra. All the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be recognized as Bhagavatas. If one is not a devotee of Lord Krishna, however, even if born in a Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya family, he should be considered a Shudra. So beautiful. So we never consider a Vaishnava as a Shudra, and he cannot be considered as a Shudra in any way. When we say Shudra, we mean someone who's very low class. We never consider him to be low class. If one is a Vaishnava, if one is chanting the holy names, then he is considered all worshipable. So there are so many examples of different associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who are from all different classes, but all of them were first class Vaishnavas. In the Padma Purana, it is said, Shvapakam iva niksheta loke vipram avaishnavam vaishnavo varno bhayopi punati bhuvanatrayam. If a person born in a Brahmana family is an Avaishnava, a non-devotee, one should not see his face, exactly as one should not look at a non-devotee because he is not all the three words, meaning namesake Brahmana, then, and if he's not a devotee of the Lord, then it is completely useless. Padma Purana further states, Shudram va bhagavad bhaktam nishadam shvapacham tata vikshate jati samanyat sayati narakam dhruvam. One who considers a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was born in a family of Shudras, Nishadas or Chandalas, to belong to that particular caste, certainly goes to hell. A Brahmana must be a Vaishnava and a learned scholar. Therefore, in India, it is customary to address a Brahmana as a Pandita. Without knowledge of Brahman, one cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, a Vaishnava is already a Brahmana, whereas a Brahmana may become a Vaishnava. In the Garuda Purana, it is said, Bhaktir Ashtavidha hi esha yasmin lechepi vartate Saviparendro Muni Sreshta Sajnani Sacha Panditaha. Even if one is born a mlecha, if he becomes a devotee, he is to be considered the best of the Brahmanas and a learned Pandita. Similarly, the Tattva Sagara says, Yata Kanchana Tam Yati Kamsyam rasa vidhanatah tata diksha vidhanena dvijatvam jayate nranam. As a bell metal is turned into gold when mixed with mercury in an alchemical process, so one who is properly trained and initiated by a bona fide spiritual master becomes a Brahmana immediately. All this evidence is found in the revealed scriptures, and it proves that according to the Vedic version, a Vaishnava is never to be considered a Brahmana or a non-Brahmana. A Vaishnava should not be thought to belong to a lower caste, even if born in a Mlecha or a Yavana family. Because he has become a devotee of Lord Krishna, he has become purified and has attained the stage of Brahmana. Dvijatvam jayaten ranam. That was a beautiful purport. I thought every word of this purport was very important. So therefore we read through this entire thing. And if anyone is asking for any references related to birth and caste, they can definitely quote these verses from 25 through 29 of this chapter in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So these were some very interesting verses that are quoted by Srila Prabhupada in the purport. So, so Jadu Thakur, what happened to Jadu Thakur and Kalidas? So Kalidas, he did go to Jadu Thakur's house and he asked for his remnants and the dust from his lotus feet. But then Jadu Thakur, he heard all these verses, but he did not approve of them. He said, yeah, these verses are all nice. They're all from Shastra, but I am very, very fallen. Okay. So after Jadu Thakur said this, Kalidas, again, he offered his obeisances to Jadu Thakur and he asked Jadu Thakur's permission so that he could leave. And he had a plan in mind. He could not obtain the remnants immediately, but still Jadu Thakur, since he didn't allow Kalidas to actually take the remnants, Kalidas had a plan in mind. And he said, okay, I'm taking leave of you. So Jadu Thakur got up with his wife and they both honored Kalidas. They worked with him as he left. Generally, it's a tradition in India or in Vedic culture to be in general, that if someone visits our house, we generally walk with them, as they are leaving. It's not that, we send them out of the door, out of the house and we shut the door on their face. So it is traditional Vedic custom to walk with our guests to some extent before they leave. So like that, Jadu Thakur and his wife, along with Kalidas, they just walked with him and they bade farewell to Kalidas. After bidding farewell to Kalidas, Jadu Thakur and his wife, they went to their house. And when they went to their house, in traditional villages, you must see that most of the roads are made out of dirt. So if someone is walking barefoot, his footprints are seen on the road. So Jadu Thakur's footprints and his wife's footprints were seen on the road while they walked back to their house. So after they went into their house and they shut the door, at that time, Kalidas, he came back running and he took the dust from the lotus foot imprints of Jadu Thakur and his wife and he smeared it on his head with so much love and affection, with so much faith that they are great Vaishnavas. He just took that and he put it on his head and he put it on all over his body. And then he was waiting. He went and he was hiding near Jadu Thakur's house. Meanwhile, inside the house of Jadu Thakur and his wife, they offered these fruits to Lord Sri Krishna. They took the mangoes and they began honoring it. So they ate the mangoes and they collected the mango peel and the fruit that is not edible. They collected that portion and they tied it in banana barks and leaves, and then they took it carefully, and the wife, she got out of the house and she wanted to dispose the refuse. So, everything was very organic. Now, these days we have plastic bags where we put the refuse and then we put it in the dustbin. But however, in those days, it was like any refuse, they would tie it up in banana leaves or banana bark, and then they would dispose it outside. So here we have Jadu Thakur and his wife. After eating, they took the refuse and they disposed it in a proper place. So at that time, Kalidas was hiding near that house. Once he saw that the refuse was thrown in that place, he went running to that place and he picked up those seeds and the peels and he began to suck from them, and he began to eat the remnants of Jadu Thakur and his wife. So like this, he began to honor the remnants of the Vaishnava by the name Jadu Thakur. So this was the mood of Kalidas. If he did not get the remnants of Vaishnavas directly, what he would do is he would hide somewhere and he would go and accept these remnants with great faith. He had great faith in the Vaishnavas. So when there's a little bit to analyze here. See, Srila Prabhupada, when you read the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he talks about remnants. Generally, remnants are considered to be in the mode of ignorance. If you read from the Bhagavad Gita directly, chapter 17, verse number 10, it will explain that actually leftover food that is thrown, food that is given up by someone, these things are considered to be in the mode of darkness. However, it is to be clarified, and Prabhupada writes in that purport, that the remnants of the Supreme Lord are the most worshipable, right? We all offer bhoga and we accept prasadam. So it is sanctified. It is, of course, the remnants of the Lord. Whatever the Lord has left mercifully, that we are accepting. So remnants are okay, provided it is the remnants of the Lord. Not only is the remnants of the Lord so powerful, but also the remnants of Vaishnavas or saintly persons is considered very, very worshipable. So one must accept the remnants of saintly people and one's own spiritual master, or anyone in the class of a spiritual master. So the dust that comes from the lotus feet of Vaishnavas, the remnants of saintly people, and the water that is used to wash their feet. All of these are highly potent, very, 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 very potent. These are like potent antibiotics. So all these three are extremely potent, and they are very infectious also. So we are now in a place where we have this very, very infectious virus that is troubling everyone. It's just picking up from one person to the other. It's very infectious. But these three things, the dust from the lotus feet of Vaishnavas, advanced Vaishnavas again, the remnants of the food that they leave, and the water that is washed from their feet, these three are considered to be very infectious and very, very potent in the right way, in a very positive way. So a pure devotee, he is generally cleared of all sins. So therefore, the remnants left by a pure devotee is very infectious in a positive way. And we know the story of Narada Muni, of how he advanced. Actually, he was the son of a maid servant in his previous birth, and he was serving the Bhakti Vedantists. So these Bhakti Vedantists were pure devotees. They were saintly persons. And he took their remnants just once. That's how Bhagavatam explains. Just once, eating their remnants just once, Narada Muni became very, very advanced. I mean, this boy who was in his previous birth, he became extremely advanced, so much so that he could catch a glimpse of the Lord. So he became so advanced. And also Srimad Bhagavatam, if you look at verse 1525, Prabhupada also clarifies one thing, that yes, remnants can be taken without the permission of the pure devotees. Like, for example, here we see Jadu Thakur. Kalidas, what did he do? After Jadu Thakur had left it in the trash, he went and he picked it up and he ate it. Okay. But however, we should be very cautious when we take the remnants of pseudo devotees. So unless we are sure, it is better to avoid. So that is a caution that Prabhupada gives in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. So devotees, pure devotees, they are not only free of all sins, these great Mahabhagavats, these great saintly devotees, they are not only free from all sins or all karma, but also they are prophylactic. What does that mean? That means it's like the sun. The sun is so pure that anywhere where the sunshine falls, that place becomes purified. The sun has the capability of even sterilizing a urinal, right? That is the power of the sun. And the sun itself never gets contaminated. It always remains uncontaminated. Not only is it purifying everything by its rays, but it also remains pure. So just like that, these Mahabhagavats, these very advanced pure devotees, these great Vaishnavas, they remain pure while they are also cleansing us with their remnants. So we get the advantage of becoming cleansed, they always remain pure. It is not that because they have helped you cleanse your sinful reactions by you accepting their remnants, they have become spoiled or something has happened to them. Nothing happens to them. They are always pure, just like the sun. But however, Srila Prabhupada also mentions one thing, that sometimes if very materialistic people, they come and they fall at your feet, sometimes the person at whose feet these materialistic people fall and take blessings, sometimes the saintly person may have to take a little bit reaction like ill health. But however, the devotee is not disturbed in any way in a spiritual consciousness. That advanced devotee is not disturbed in a spiritual way. Sometimes there are subtle effects that happen, and he might fall ill, or he might have to take a little bit reaction from this person who's very materialistic. And the other aspect to this whole thing is that devotees in general, especially advanced devotees, by nature they are humble, and therefore they are reluctant to allow others to touch their feet or take their remnants. So if someone is telling, if an advanced devotee is telling, I don't want you to take my remnants, it's more because they are very humble. They don't consider themselves advanced enough to purify you. So that is the reason they are telling it. And still one can take if they are sure, or if they are genuinely feeling that this is an advanced devotee. So it is all about our consciousness. So if we truly believe that this person is advanced, and with a clear consciousness we are taking the prasadam, then it is effective. Then that Mahaprasad is effective. If we are having doubts about that person, then it is actually of no use. So the cleansing that is happening for us is directly proportional to the faith that we are having in that devotee. Look at the case of Kalidas. He was very confident. He was very, very sincere, genuine, and simple in his dealings. Right? Jadu Thakur and Kalidas, how did he look at Jadu Thakur? He looked at Jadu Thakur with a very nice, he had so much regard for him. He really considered him to be a wonderful Vaishnava. So proportionate to his consciousness, the purification was happening. So if you're very confident, and if you really have a clear heart, and you're able to genuinely appreciate an advanced Vaishnava, then with all love and devotion, with full faith, you should take that Mahaprasad. The cleansing is proportional to the full faith that you have in taking that Mahaprasad. So that is something that we need to keep in mind. The element of faith has a great bearing on the efficacy of this principle. Honoring the remnants of Vaishnavas is very powerful, but it is in proportion to the faith and respect with which we are honoring that remnants. So faith and respect is extremely important. It works at a very subtle level. So, so in a genuine, simple, humble state, if we are able to take the remnants of a sincere Vaishnava, without considering whether this Vaishnava is high or he's low, without having such considerations, if we are able to take, just like how Kalidas did, then there is great scope for us to attain purification. So Kalidas, he would take remnants from all Vaishnavas. He did not have any consideration, oh, this Vaishnava is advanced, this Vaishnava is neophyte. He never made such distinctions. So therefore, when he took Mahaprasad in full faith, it was working for him. It was very, very potent for him. But if we have these, certain distinctions, it is better, not to honor for the time being, and then take only when we are completely confident. So like this, Kalidas, he attained the great mercy of the Lord. And we will also see in the next part of this section, in tomorrow's class, one very interesting pastime of Kalidas, how he advanced so much that he even got the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is a very, very beautiful part of how he goes and he gets the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I will not reveal the pastime now, because tomorrow's class we'll hear it from the wonderful lotus mouth of Gita Sundari Mataji. So I just want to say one pastime of Srila Prabhupada, of how the remnants of Srila Prabhupada were so potent. So many of you know the story, but for the benefit of those who have not heard the story, this is a pastime that was recorded by Shrutakirti Prabhu. Shrutakirti Prabhu along with some of the devotees, some of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada and Prabhupada. Once they were on an airplane from Mexico City to Carcaras. That was a place that they were traveling to in South America. And Prabhupada, he had carried some puffed rice with peanuts as a snack on the flight. So Prabhupada, he began honoring that puffed rice. And after he was done, he said, okay. And he moved that puffed rice to Shrutakirti and asked him to distribute the remaining puffed rice among all the devotees. So Shrutakirti Prabhu and Paramahamsa Prabhu and others, they all took the remaining puffed rice from Srila Prabhupada's plate and they kept it in front of them and they were honoring this puffed rice. So at that time, the air hostess who was walking by the aisle, she was very curious. She saw this puffed rice and she was so excited. She just reached out to the plate and she took a handful and she ate that. Usually air hostesses, they don't do that, right? But suddenly something was, she was just inspired. She just went and she took a handful and she ate that puffed rice off the plate of these devotees. And everyone was very, very surprised. And they looked at Prabhupada and they said, oh my God, this is so wonderful, isn't it? And then Prabhupada said, oh yeah, generally women, they like to, take care of people. They are very good at hospitality. So there's nothing nothing to be surprised about this. What Shrutakirti Prabhu and the other devotees were thinking in their mind is that, wow, it is so great that some random person got so much mercy. Prabhupada's remnant someone has got. So that is what they were thinking in their mind. And then Prabhupada, in all his humility, he didn't even think in that angle. He never even thought in that angle. He was saying, yeah, it's wonderful. Women are very good at taking care of people. And then she went and she asked Prabhupada, is there anything else I can get for you? And Prabhupada, he said, yes, some hot milk. So she went and she got hot milk and she served everyone. And Shrutakirti Prabhu would tell the story of this air hostess getting this Mahaprasad mercy from Srila Prabhupada in many places. And once he was telling this amazing story in a place in South America. He was telling this story in the temple. And there was one boy who walked up to Shrutakirti Prabhu and he told Shrutakirti Prabhu, can I tell you one Sankirtan story? And Shrutakirti Prabhu said, yes, go ahead, tell me what it is. And then he said that oftentimes we go to villages and cities in Brazil. We go to different remote places and we perform Sankirtan and we distribute books there. It so happened that one day we went to a house, we knocked their door just to distribute some books. And a woman opened the door, she answered the door and she welcomed us in. She saw that we were devotees and she welcomed us, seeing that we were dressed in dhoti, kurta and tilak. She called us inside and she gave us a seat. And when we saw her house was filled with different pictures of Krishna on the wall and she had deities in the altar. And the devotees who had entered her house were very surprised. How come in such a remote place there is a devotee? So then they asked her, so are you also a devotee? And then she said, yes, I am a devotee. And they asked her, how did you become a devotee? Then she told her story that she indeed was that air hostess who by chance had this mercy of Srila Prabhupada, who had this mercy from the remnants of Srila Prabhupada. She was an air hostess and she took off that puffed rice which was Prabhupada's remnants, and from that day on, eventually it so happened after a few years she met devotees on Sankirtan, she got the books and her innate Krishna consciousness was revived by the mercy of Prabhupada's remnants and she took up to spiritual life. So like this, Prabhupada's remnants have been very, very potent, and this is a real life story. So like this, we have great Vaishnavas. If with complete faith, if you really have faith, directly proportional to the faith you have, the purification will happen if you take remnants of Vaishnavas, just like how Kalidas took remnants of great Vaishnavas without looking at what jati they are or what is their background. Such thoughts he never had. If you're simple-hearted, and if you're able to take remnants, the purification will surely happen. And many of us in this ISKCON world, we have this great fortune of having so many Mahabhagavats and so ample opportunities to take their remnants. So it's a very powerful thing and we should not take it cheaply. We should take it with full faith, and definitely purification will happen to a great extent. You will see your life transform, your spiritual life transform, if you're able to take the remnants of Vaishnavas with faith, if you're able to take the dust from their lotus feet with great faith, and if you're able to take the water that has washed their lotus feet. So in the next section, we'll see more nectar, more and more nectar churning out from Caitanya Charitamrita with the pastime of Kalidas. What else did he do? That we will see in our next session. So any questions or comments or realizations, you can go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preethi, Vilasini, Mataji. Thank you so much for such a beautiful nectar. It's a very potent, the process is potent, and this pastime, it explains so much for us to progress in our Krishna conscious life. I just have one quick question. Maybe I was in some distraction, I missed it. So you said about Kalidas, he was a tribal woman, Pulindra woman in the pastime of Krishna. Do you have any idea, or you said about anything about Jadu Thakur, like who was he in Krishna Lila? No, you are muted, I think so.
No, Kirtida Mataji, I don't have any information about him.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe I missed because of some distraction. And another thing, like you mentioned about taking prasadam, taking the dust of the lotus feet, you mentioned the key point is faith, which is, yes, very, very important. That without faith, all these things doesn't work. But on the other hand, I was also thinking that Prabhupada always, isn't it that he stressed that even though a person doesn't have any faith in chanting, in the process, and following the norms of Krishna consciousness, just feed them prasadam. So
Yes,
the prasadam will work. It's miraculous.
It will work in proportion to the faith that they have. That is, if you with the purification happens in proportion to the faith. Purification is there, definitely it's there, but the speed of the purification is proportional to the faith, like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, that makes sense. Thank you once again. Thank you so much for such a beautiful and wonderful class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Kirtida Sundari Mataji. We are looking forward to tomorrow's continued session with Kalidas. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
I think Anmoldeep Prabhu has raised hand. You want to ask Prabhu? You can unmute.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandvat Pranams. Mataji, I would like to thank you for such a great lecture. We got to know about the glories of eating from the remnants of Vaishnavas, and it was a very inspiring lecture. I did not know all these facts, so I just want to thank you for this association.
Thank you so much for your association, Prabhu. We are very, very happy to have you on the call. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hi Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam. Wonderful class, Mataji. Like you revisiting the things which are so potent, and making them, when we listen to them again and again, you understand how important they are and how we should take it so seriously. And I with this, I just remembered one story. I don't know what is the sequence of it, but the only one thing which I remember in that is that when I think a lady, she was carrying her husband who had leprosy, and she was carrying him to a place where it was going to be cured. So with whole faith, everybody was going over there. And then in the middle, she asked her other people who were there along with her to help her to just carry him over there. And then they were like, oh, no, we'll also get leprosy. We'll also get that disease. Then she said, but I go away. So if at all you catch this from him also, then when you go over there, you will get cured. So that means that she was the only one who was taking her husband over there with whole faith. So I think that faith, which you said, which is proportional to what faith we have and the mercy, it is really so true. So true, Mataji.
Very nice, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Can you hear me, Mataji?
Yes, Vinita Mataji.
Very, very beautiful, beautiful class, Mataji. The class you were saying about having the remnant, that was very nice. When you are sharing about using the holy name for the strength of the holy name, that I remember when we are child, when we used to play this snake and ladder. I remember always, like, that time I was not even Krishna consciousness for everything. Oh, Krishna, God, please help me. After that, recently we got Krishna conscious games for Vrinda. In that also there are so many games and there are demons. So, like, Krishna, please help me, don't touch this demon. I remember now that of course we are playing for a joy, but still I should not use that to escape from the demon. Yeah, Mataji, very nice class. But I think in this case he was chanting all the time, right? So there is no difference for him to chant only at a particular that time. Is that correct, Mataji? Because he was chanting all the time, right? He's
Yes.
not chanting only the particular time. So that was not offensive.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. Very beautiful class, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Preethi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Very beautiful class, Mataji. Like what everyone said, it's. Can you hear me, Mataji?
Yeah, yes, Indu. Yes.
Yes, Mataji. So the power of prasadam and getting the leftovers, remnants from the Vaishnavas, how important it is. I do have a question. So does that mean that, I don't get any Vaishnava association personally. Does that mean that when we meet Vaishnavas, we need to try and, follow in that footsteps, like what you said towards the end, only if we have that right mood, definitely.
Right. Yes, definitely. If we have that right mood, like how Kalidas was, definitely, yes. We must, yes.
Okay.
We must try to get. And if, there is no harm, but again, it is not like very frivolous exchange of, prasadam, then it becomes, it has no meaning. Like, okay, in a very frivolous mood, if you're just trying to exchange ether's plate, that is meaningless.
Yeah, we can see how eager he is, right?
Yes, that eagerness. Yes, that is right. The faith and the eagerness. Yes.
Yes. And that too, there is nothing. It is just the leftover. But
Yes.
even that, he is relishing it.
Relishing it.
So getting the dust of the lotus feet of a great Vaishnava, that's also very important. And thank you so much, Mataji. Very beautiful lessons for us. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Harita from Texas.
Hare Krishna.
It's been like very, very, I the whole week I have been listening to the Caitanya Charitamrita. Every speaker is like speaking nectar. Everyone, and today yours was also awesome, Mataji. And whatever you have told about like how we need to practice bhakti and how we need to respect the devotees and how we need to whatever it may be, whether it may be remnants or whether it may be their the dust of their feet or whatever, in whatever way we get their blessings, that's great. So this is one great point, Mataji, and I think this will really help the newly who are coming into this devotional service. It will help them to more excel in the devotional services. And I think we all, like all we new devotees who are newly joining this association, we need to follow that. And I think this is really very nice point which I like, Mataji. Thank you for and I liked your story of Ramanujacharya. That day it was like you were just like a storyteller, like I am not, please don't take me in a wrong way, like how the grandmas tell us stories and we keep on listening and listening. I was like, okay, more Mataji, more. You kept on like going on like that. So that was also really nice, Mataji. Thanks for the association and all the and enlightening us with all this right knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Harita Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for your very kind words, and I just pass it on to our spiritual masters who have trained us and who have given their mercy, their causeless mercy. Thank you so much, Harita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandot Pranam. Very, very beautiful class, Mataji. Thank you so much, and thank you so much explaining the importance of the taking remnants of, pure devotees.
Thank you,
Missing that
Shama
one, yeah.
Mataji.
Missing that one, Mataji, because of the pandemic. No
I know.
devotees are coming, and it's like,
And you're so used to it.
yeah, but usually, devotees.
Krishna, you can hear me? Okay. So thank you, Shama Gauri Mataji. You're so used to also always hosting great Vaishnavas, so this period must be really, really, down for you. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes, Mataji. Please pray all this pandemic will go and all again the get-togethers will happen and devotees will come. Mataji, you are on mute.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Sorry, Shama Gauri Mataji, in between I didn't hear you because I lost audio. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I said please pray, Mataji, because all these pandemic should go away and again the get-together should happen and all the devotees should come together.
Yes, Mataji, that is so true. That is so true. Sure, Mataji. Thank you so much.
हरे कृष्ण प्रीति विलासिनी गोपी दंडवत प्रणाम शिल प्रभुपाद शिल गुरुदेव की जय 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 नित्यानंद जय जय gauranga. Very inspiring class. Yes, Mataji, pray for all of us that this pandemic will over and we meet in a Shambhari Prabhugar house or Adigadatar Prabhu house, and every month there is a one Maharaj is coming and one senior brahmachari is coming from Shishirata Gopinath, and we wish the association of all of them, especially Cook Prasadam Shau Vaishnava. Please pray, Mataji. It is going now 1 year and 3 months past. Pray for all the Vaishnava that we again meet together and Friday program. In summer, it's the sun is up to 9 o'clock, so we are doing. So the senior Vaishnava and senior Brahmachari and senior Maharaj is doing Krishna Katha up to 10:30. Nobody wants to go home. So pray that we get again that strong association. Thank you, Bhakti Sangha, all preachers, Mataji, that they give us a strength and how to serve, what is our move to serve. Shri Radha Gopinath, Shri Nityananda, Shri Chaitanya, Koti Koti Dandat Pranam, Shri Prabhupada, Shri Radha Gopinath, preacher.
Thank you, Mataji. Definitely missing Atlanta in that sense with the wonderful programs that we used to have. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mataji. Anyone has anything else to add?
Hare Krishna, Preethi Mataji. As all said, it's like a very, very detailed class, Mataji. What is our mode to accept prasadam, remnants of Vaishnavas, how to respect Vaishnavas, and so many things, Mataji. And regarding this, Mataji, I have a question. So previously, as you said, I forgot the name.
Kalidas?
Yeah, Kalidas. Yeah, Keshava Kashmir, I'm getting. Yeah. So Kalidas is a person who is chanting the holy names every time. So whatever he's doing, whether he's doing his work or playing games or whatever. So Mataji, so if we see in our material world, if we find a person like that, means like that, whatever, like he's also playing games, he's doing whatever, like materially. So how can we know that he is really a pure devotee? How can we identify him? So in our life also we will come across, or we came across some kind of persons. So how to distinguish they are not materially, or they are not like that, but they are by heart pure devotees. So, and how can we make our association with them if we come across like that kind of people?
So yes, Mataji, it's very difficult for us to distinguish between devotees who are very advanced and other devotees based on their external activities, right? It's extremely hard. So someone externally, he may not be appearing to be a very great devotee, but internally he could be very advanced.
Yes,
Very
Mataji.
hard to actually figure that out. The safest method for us is not to be judgmental, first thing. It is good not to be judgmental and appreciate whatever they are doing. That is the best, thing for us to do. Having said that, if a person is speaking and acting the same way, whether he is in the presence of Vaishnavas or whether he is in the privacy of his home, or whether he is in the circle of his intimate friends, or whether he is in the circle of advanced Vaishnavas, if he is speaking and behaving the same way, if he is transparent and genuine, if his general codes of dharma, meaning mundane dharma, like being nice, being good, being humble, being truthful, these are all general behaviors that are very important for a Vaishnava. So a Vaishnava is not really judged by how he wears his tilak or how he is presenting himself to be a perfect devotee in the eyes of many people, but genuinely how is he practicing, genuinely how is he connecting himself with Krishna, whether he is in the presence of devotees or he is in the privacy of his house, or whether he is in the presence of close friends or he is in the presence of a group of Vaishnavas in the temple. So irrespective of any situation, if he is genuine, right, if he is really really genuine, and if he's able to perform, have the same kind of affection and surrender towards Krishna, the same kind of bhakti towards Krishna, then that person must be considered to be internally and externally very advanced, internally especially very advanced. So it comes with observation. And once Prabhupada also said that if a person, how do we understand if a person is a genuine guru? This is what once Prabhupada was asked, and Prabhupada said if he's constantly chanting and speaking about Krishna, okay, that is the only thing that he's doing. He's not speaking something very mundane or talking about others always. So if he's constantly speaking and chanting about Krishna, and he's speaking from what Krishna has said, following in the mood of following in the mood of the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, then he's considered to be very very advanced internally and externally. Okay, Mataji. Sometimes externally, yes. Like for example, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, we read his story that externally he looked like a person who's enjoying different kinds of opulences.
Yeah, lavish life.
Yeah, he's leading a lavish life, but internally, what was his consciousness? That actually determines who he is. And he was the same. I mean, it didn't matter to him, right? He was the same whether he was in his house or he was outside, whether he was in front of Gadadhar Pandit or he was in front of others. He was the same person inside. So that is the key, Mataji. Did it help answer?
Yeah, yes, Mataji. Yes. Yeah. So these are kind of like parameters we have to judge, or we have to see them how they are in their Krishna conscious level, and we can approach them.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice, Mataji. Nice. And Mataji, not regarding this class, Mataji, but I have a question for long time, Mataji. So can I ask, Mataji?
Yes, ma'am.
So Mataji, we know that Nityananda Prabhu is a Avadhuta. So we also know what are the features of Avadhuta. So Mataji, if we see like Nityananda Prabhu's like, he is like Avadhuta, and if we see other also like Avadhutas, like mad persons also behave like Avadhutas only. So how to distinguish again like mad person and a real Avadhuta?
What are they mad about? That is the distinguishing factor. Right?
Okay.
Are they mad for Krishna? That is the distinguishing factor. So when Nityananda Prabhu appeared like a madman, he was mad for Krishna, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, transcendental madness of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the previous chapter, what was he mad about? So that is the distinguishing factor. Yeah. If you're mad about something else and if he's just a madman, that is a totally different story.
Okay, okay. Not only by their appearance, if the mood is also like about Krishna, then we can identify them as Avadhuta.
Right.
Okay, okay. Got it, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat.
Yes, Mataji, Dandavat. Thank you so much, Mataji. It was a wonderful class. I have a few questions, Mataji. I'm sorry if the questions has been asked already. I was cut in the middle. So, Mataji, since the topic was about Prasadam and Ramanan's honoring and Vaishnava, so my first question is, Mataji, you were keeping on mentioning that it's for purificatory process. The Prasadam we take is for purification. And I have a question because in South India, I don't know about other part of India, when they newly get married, the wife is asked to eat from the plate of the husband because it has the remnants of husband. And they say they do that because they get attached and they love the husband more because of this process. And the same thing we see here also, that we eat the remnants of Vaishnava. So my question is it only for purificatory process or is it more inner detail regarding to that, Mataji?
To an extent, it is subtle karma, Mataji. So you are, in one sense, when you're accepting the remnants of someone, you're sharing the karma. So there is some, that's why we don't eat the remnants of anyone and everyone, right? Because you do take up, like, for example, when Prabhupada was talking about devotees falling at the feet, and sometimes he would not entertain it because he might have to accept a little bit karma or a little bit of sinful reaction. So between husband and wife, at least in traditional places, in you do have this culture of sharing remnants. Sharing remnants meaning sharing that subtle karma with each other. So that is definitely involved. It is not, in one sense, yes, when we take the remnants of great Vaishnavas, we get purified. So our karma is altered, right? So it comes down to the subtle sense of karma, if it makes sense, Mataji. Between husband and wife, you're definitely sharing a lot of karma between the two of you.
Oh, okay, Mataji. So karma also acts a part of it. So now, Mataji, if you say it is for purificatory process, now since I'm a beginner, I'm asking this question, like how does that purificatory process work? Because there's a food, that's a honor, that's a prasadam, and we are taking it. So is that, like you said, it's our karma gets going away, or like how does the purificatory process work?
Okay, so Krishna and his remnants are non-different. So it is said when you take Krishna prasadam, the food is mixed with the saliva of Krishna. So it has a lot of potency. It is transcendental. So this Krishna prasadam is further honored by a Vaishnava. Okay, honored by a Vaishnava, and that potency is getting transferred into that food that you are taking. So if it is, I mean, anything from Krishna is very, very powerful and very purifying, right? Like, the potency of prasadam, if it is taken, with faith, even once, it can change you to a great extent. And even without faith, if you take it also, still there is a lot of purifying that is happening. So because it is mixed with a portion of Krishna's own saliva, in one sense, Prabhupada writes that in the purport, Krishna's saliva. So that is transcendental. So obviously it affects the mind, the consciousness, the body, it affects everything because it is so spiritually potent. So that's how the purification happens. When you come in contact with something, like, for example, when iron rod comes in contact with fire, that iron rod becomes like fire. It is as good as fire. So like that, when you come in contact with something that is so potent and so transcendental, automatically everything in you gets affected. Did that make sense, Mataji?
Yes, very much, Mataji. So it becomes transcendental. So the nature, it's because the material, the food, it changes into a transcendental form. So that transcendental makes changes with the material nature. Yeah, that makes, Mataji, that clears it. And one more question, Mataji, like as you said, we have to have faith in Vaishnava. You said faith is an important concept. So like if I'm a beginner and I'm going to a place and I see Vaishnavas giving prasadam and I take the remnants, they ask me to take remnants, maybe chances that I don't know very much about that Vaishnava, whether it's an advanced devotee or we don't know any level of the Vaishnava. So based on what, so is my faith is based on that he's doing devotional service? So my faith is on devotional service that I take remnants. Or is my faith is on Krishna, that he is a Krishna devotee, so I take it. So on based on what that faith will appear to me in the initial stage, I'm asking.
Okay. In the initial stage, it is very difficult to distinguish, meaning like for us, see, it depends on our consciousness to some extent. If we are seeing all the Vaishnavas as being very advanced, like Kalidas, then that's a different story. Okay, it's a completely different story. But if we are making distinctions, okay, this person is less advanced, this person is more advanced, better not to take. I mean, why do you want to take, right? Better not to take. That is the recommendation that is given. So one is recommended to take remnants from spiritual masters. Okay, that is the remnants that you're recommended to take, because you're very confident that this person is very advanced, and by taking his mercy, you are going to be advanced. So in such a sense, it is always recommended to take prasadam from that Mahaprasad, from that Mahabhagavat. But if you are, that's why again and again, even in some purpose, Prabhupada says just frivolous exchange of food is meaningless. It is just meaningless. So if you are not confident and not faithful, you respect that person and you move on. You don't have to take remnants. So what decides? First, we start by taking remnants from spiritual masters. That is because we have taken them as our spiritual master, meaning they have accepted us as their disciples and they are blessing us and they are giving us the knowledge. So obviously, because of their association, we have become so purified. When we take remnants from them, we become further purified. So that is a simple policy to follow if you're in doubt. Okay.
Yes, Mataji, that's very useful. And Mataji, you were also saying the word like advanced Vaishnava. By you see in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says all is like all the category of his like the devotees, he put them into same category like Vaishnava. So I cannot understand the word advanced, Mataji. How do you say that he's an advanced Vaishnava? Based on what we come to, I don't want to clarify, I don't want to differentiate, but I'm trying to understand when a Vaishnava becomes advanced, like based on what?
Yes, when all his activities are completely Krishnaized, then he's advanced. So his sleeping, walking, talking, when everything is Krishna conscious, and it is very obvious that it is Krishna conscious, such a person is very advanced. We see many examples in front of our eyes. We see our different spiritual masters who have really shown it by example. They are walking, talking, everything that comes out of their mouth or whatever they see only Krishna and everything. Such a person is considered very, very advanced. So I think we have lots of examples in front of our eyes of people who are really living that life, especially the class of spiritual masters that we have. Yeah, so they are considered very advanced. And of course, there are standard definitions for Madhyamadikari, Uttamadikari, and Kanishtadikari. When we read those definitions and when we analyze, you'll be able to catch a glimpse of who's at what level.
Okay, Mataji, yes. So when a person's complete activity is full of Krishna, is like entirely for Krishna, his thought, his work, and everything is Krishna, then he has no difference. There's no difference for other work and transcendental and material. He has no difference. He's completely transcendental nature.
Yes.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah, that's understood.
Yeah, most of us, we are very selfish, actually. At least I can talk for myself. And generally, we are just trying to advance. But actually, the focus is us. We are the focus. Honestly, it's not Krishna. Is definitely not the focus. We are trying to add Krishna. Yeah, we are attempting. We are trying, but we have a long way to go. But there are advanced devotees. For them, Krishna is the focus. They don't come in the picture much. So these people are really advanced.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you very much, Mataji. The class was wonderful, and also you answered all the questions. It clarified most of the doubts I had. So thank you very much, Mataji. Very grateful to you. Jai Sachinandana, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Mataji, do you have time, Mataji? I just have some couple of questions, Mataji.
Yeah.
Okay. So Mataji, coming to Kalidasa, he is playing cards and he is uttering or remembering the names of Krishna. So this is my personal question, Mataji. So the place where I'm living is a new community and there are no devotees, especially. And I'm only into Krishna consciousness. So when we gather with our materialistic friends, sometimes they want to play cards, Mataji. They know Krishna consciousness, Krishna temple, everything, but they don't know the details of the devotees. What are the four regulative principles? They have to follow all these things. But at that moment, I cannot explain all these things to them. So at that moment, they want to play some cards or like that. So at that time, should I engage with them, Mataji, or what is that I have to do?
So Mataji, gambling means gambling with some money or gambling with some items, you put and you gamble, right? That is only gambling actually. Actual definition of gambling is that. Now, if you are, now this again, don't quote me on this, but this is what I'm trying to, I'm just trying to help you out here. So when you're just playing, okay, like we play so many games, right? Playing games is different, gambling is different. Okay. See, I say I'm playing cards. Okay, I'm going to play cards and, I'm going to probably just, it's a waste of time in one sense, yes. Anything that is not Krishna conscious is waste of time. It's not good to engage in it. That's a very transparent answer. But at the same time, what I'm telling you is gambling may be different from just playing something. Okay. When you gamble either with money or with articles. So that's gambling. So when in the strictest sense. But again, any sort of activity without Krishna in the center is a waste of time. Okay. So now you can decide for yourself in your situation how you want to apply.
Yeah. Yes, Mataji. Nice. Yeah. And another question regarding Prasadam, Mataji. So in Sanskrit, we have a word called Uchishtam. So Uchishtam. So in South India, in many Brahmanas, they feel that Uchishtam means first whatever we have offered the food to the person like Brahmana, and after they are completing the meal, when we eat the food, not especially from their plate, but when we eat the food, that is also called as Uchishtam. So it is going to give the same benefits as eating from the same remnants, Mataji?
See, Uchishta, Bhagavad Uchishta, anyhow, a Brahmana is going to eat a prasadam, right? Bhagavad Uchishta is what he's going to eat. Okay. Bhagavata Uchishta becomes that when you accept as a remnant from their plate. So even if you are taking the, after a Brahmana has been honored, you eat that food, still it is prasadam only. It is offered to Krishna, right? When we are feeding a Brahmana, we give Bhagavad Uchishta to him. Correct? So it has the same potency in one sense. But when it becomes Bhagavata Uchishta, there is some more mercy coming from that Vaishnava. There is a little more potency in the sense that that Vaishnava is indirectly recommending you to Krishna. So it has potency. Both have potency, whether it is Bhagavata Uchishta or Bhagavata Uchishta. Both have potency because ultimately even Bhagavata Uchishta is coming from Krishna. Meaning only after it is offered to Krishna that Bhagavata is taking that food. So both have potency, Mataji.
Okay. Now I got clear, Mataji. Like Bhagavata Uchishta and Prasadam is Uchishta.
Yes.
Okay. So previously I'm thinking that if we are honoring the food after the Bhagavata is eaten also, it becomes like a remnant from Bhagavata. So now I got it clear, Mataji. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Supreme Mataji. Mataji, do we want to end?
Yeah, sure, Mataji, sure. Yeah. Dear devotees, if there are no more questions for Mataji, so we can end the call. So Mataji, thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you is a very little word, but thanks a lot from our bottom of the heart. So with this, I would like to pay my obeisances to you and all the devotees on the call. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। रामाचार्य शील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। शील प्रभुपाद की जय। हर ग्रेस प्रीति विलासिनी माता जी की जय। चैतन्य चरितामृता की जय। थैंक यू सो मच माता जी। हरे कृष्ण।
माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji. Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.